What's up, everybody? Grant Wise here, and welcome to today's training call with Hassan Riggs. We are going to learn how to turn leads into appointments using, if I'm saying this right, the BANTAR Principle. I hope that
That's
I'm
right.
saying that right.
That's
Just saying
right.
it how it sounds.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
I'm,
That's
I'm
right.
glad it's good. So Hassan, my man, I'm going to let you take it from here. I just wanted to, say thank you so much for agreeing to stop in here and add a bunch of value. I know this is a very relevant topic, and I know that the
Yeah,
people listening to this are going to get a ton of value from you. And so, just take off running with it, man.
for
The
sure.
stage is
Cool.
yours.
Cool, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you for just allowing me to show up and participate, man. Put me
Yeah.
in the game, coach. Appreciate that. And thank you for everybody for showing up. Many of you don't know me. And so let me just kind of lay some groundwork here. First, if you like throughout the conversation, because this is really going to be a conversation, right? Well, I'm going to share with you some of the things that not only kind of I've learned, but also I've implemented and proven to work. And one of the things that I share all the time is that you can ignore my advice, but don't ignore my results. And I'm going to show you some of the results that um, I've gotten like over the course of my career in digital marketing, outside sales, inside sales. And so if you have questions throughout the next 30, 45 minutes or so, put them put them in the chat. Grant is going to be monitoring the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat. And so hopefully, I'll be able to kind of take a look down and answer any of your questions as we go along. So my name is Hassan Riggs. I'm the founder and CEO at Smart Alto. And at Smart Alto, ultimately what we do is we put 15-minute phone appointments on your calendar. So new leads come in from Facebook. So it doesn't matter where the leads come in from, right? Facebook, anywhere. And we have a team of folks who convert your leads into 15-minute phone appointments and put them on your calendar. I'm a former inside sales agent. I've personally set over 10,000 real estate appointments, with buyers and sellers. Uh, and one of the things that I know is that most of the agents who come to work with Smart Alto, they're doing two jobs. They're either one, they're part inside sales agent because they're trying to convert leads into appointments, and they're part real estate sales professional because they have client facing responsibilities. And it's really difficult to do two jobs because both of them are full-time jobs. And when you're doing one, you're not doing the other. And so one of the things I'm going to share with you is how you can kind of use processes and systems to more consistently convert leads into 15-minute phone appointments, and then allow your EQ, remember, is always greater than your IQ in this business. Your EQ, your emotional intelligence, to take the ball and run with it, and then get that person over to your lender and ultimately close deals. I'm also a contributor for Forbes, where I write about real estate marketing, real estate technology trends, and how to set appointments through text message. I've spoken at Inman, I've spoken at NAR, I've kind of been on the speaker circuit, and I also have somewhat of an eclectic background because I've done digital marketing um, for really, really big companies. I've supported luxury brands with digital marketing. I've worked in outside sales. I used to go door to door selling Cutco knives, right? So I've kind of done it all when it comes to outside sales, inside sales, and ultimately sold and marketed over $100 million in my career. And so that's a little bit about me. And you've already made me co-host, right, Grant? Okay, great. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Let me scroll up. Okay. So ultimately, what we're going to talk about today is how to turn leads into appointments using the BANTAR principle. This is a principle that I developed years and years ago, but we ultimately still use now in Smart Alto. And one of the things that I say quite a bit is, if you're still doing business today the way you were 5, 10, 20 years ago, then I've got two words for you: Radio Shack. Because the world is continuing to evolve, it's continuing to change. And so the people I know, the real estate agents, teams, and brokers I know, who not only just gotten rich, but ultimately built wealth through real estate, they're constant learners. They continue to evolve, they grow, they change, they adapt, they evolve, they grow, they change, they adapt, they evolve, they grow, they change, they adapt, and they ultimately continue to win year after year because they just go through a very cerebral process, and but also a very disciplined process of learning. You can see right now I have a library, a short little library behind me, right? Where I grew up with a library in my house, books all around me, courses. I spent over $10,000 last year on just trainings just like this, learning and growing. Ultimately, my business doubled. And so I appreciate you showing up for this training because it really shows that you're in it to win, right? And so what we're going to learn today is how to take your online leads and ultimately convert them into 15-minute phone appointments and then into money in your bank account. Because we can talk about getting leads all that we want, but honestly, the conversation around getting leads is old and tired. You can have a lot of people who show you how to get leads. There's systems out there to show you how to do it. You can find the right system to show you how to get leads. I know Grant talks to you about that a lot. All these different systems, tools, strategies to get there. The conversation we do need to have, and one of the reasons Grant asked me to talk about this, is how do you take those leads and ultimately move them down the funnel so that you can put them through a systematic process and build your business on fundamental principles and numbers. So you know, if I get 100 leads this month, I'm going to convert 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them into ultimately deals that's going to be worth 30, 45, $40,000 to me next month, the month after that, right? So you can build your business on numbers and really principles as opposed to hoping what's going to happen. Because when I ask you how much money you're going to make next month and you don't know, you're ultimately telling me you don't know how to run your business, right? You don't have the systems and processes in place to really run your business. We'll talk about that a little bit. So exactly what you need to double your sales using the Fortune framework. How I converted over 10,000 buyers and seller leads into 15-minute phone appointments using the BANTAR principle. The number one strategy to practically guarantee buyers show up for your phone appointment 90+% of the time. I'm going to share this with you. It's really simple. I get my entire team to do this, and all of the agents who work with Smart Alto, I absolutely beg them to do this because it works so well. And then I threw this in just a case study of how we help Rob West make at least $14,000 in 10 days using a 30-day blitz. And I'll show you the results of that. Not only what we did, how we kind of structured, what his goal was, his strategy, how he measured himself, but also specifically, if you want to, after this, I'll give Grant quite literally the text messages that we sent for Rob that helped him schedule these appointments, ultimately close deals and put money into his bank account. And so let me start off with the Fortune framework. Give me 1 second. So Grant, as we go through here, because I'm sharing my screen now, Grant, the chat has kind of gone away. So if you would just keep an eye on the chat, and if someone asks a question and you think is relevant to what we're talking about, you can just chime in, and I'll answer the question, or I can
got you.
just wait to the end. Thanks, buddy.
I got you.
So let's talk about the Fortune framework. Let me set the stage on this. This is really about how to get time freedom and money freedom. Time freedom and money freedom. And I want you to think about the Fortune framework as a business audit, because I don't care whether you're just starting off in the business or whether you've been in the business 15, 20, 30 years, whether you haven't closed your first deal or whether you close 250 deals a year, or whether you're a broker and you close 1,000, 1,200 deals a year. You're going to fit somewhere, and you generate online leads, you're going to fit into one of these 4 boxes. And so think about this as a business audit, to where not only we're going to figure out where you fit, but also what you need in order to level up and get to the next level and take your business to the next level and quite literally double your business. We use this exact same framework to help Fred McGill go from 0 to 250 homes a year sold. So the way you think about this is, on the y-axis, you have conversions. Are your conversions really low, or are your conversions really high? So you're getting leads then. Are you converting a lot of those leads? If so, your conversions are high. Are you not converting a lot of those leads? If so, your conversions are low. And then the x-axis, or leads. Are you not getting any leads? Then you're obviously here, bottom left. If you're getting a bunch of leads, then you're over here, bottom right. And so think about this simple 2x2. You've gone to school, you've been doing this since, like, I think this is first introduced in like the 6th grade or something. It's just a simple 2x2. So here's the way you think about this. If right now in your business, you're working with Grant, he's sharing with you how to generate leads, but you haven't really internalized the principles yet. So you're getting basically 0 leads and 0 conversions. You've got a D cubed problem. You've got a D cubed problem. At the moment, you really just got a hobby. You don't even really have a business yet. You're not in the Inc. mindset yet. And so this D cubed problem, what does that mean? What does D cubed stand for? The desire, desire, direction, and the discipline. That's what you need, D cubed. You need the desire, direction, and discipline to take that next step. So the desire is your goal. That's your big picture mission, right? So what's the true reason? Because you really need a message and a mind shift, right? If you're not getting any leads and you're not getting any conversions, you really just have a hobby right now. You're not truly in business to win. You're kind of doing this part-time. You're not quite sure what to do. And so you need a mindset shift. And that's where you need the desired direction and discipline. So what's your desire? That's your goal. That's what you're really trying to accomplish, your goal. Every business has a mission, it has a goal. And if you don't have that, then you don't truly have a North Star. And if you don't truly have a North Star, you don't know where you want to go. And so if you don't know where you want to go, then how are you going to get there? Right? If you don't know where you want to go, then you can't do number 2, which is have a direction. Your direction is your strategy. You need a technology strategy and a go-to-market strategy. What systems, tools, principles, processes are you going to put in place? And then how are you going to go to market? What's your unique value proposition, et cetera, right? So you need to get that firmed up. And then the discipline to measure yourself. This is where a lot of people, even folks who are making a lot of money, really fall short on. They quite literally don't know how to measure themselves, or they're not measuring what's working and what's not working. What's your cost per lead? What's your cost to acquire a customer? If you don't basically understand your numbers of your business, then it's very difficult for you to win. Your job as a business owner is fundamentally, one of your first jobs is to understand how to utilize your resources: time, money, energy, people, systems, tools. You have all these resources that you can use. Your job as a business owner is to understand where you should invest and where you should pull back. It's really hard to know where you should invest and where you should pull back if you don't know what's working and what's not working. And it's hard for you to understand what's working and what's not working if you're not measuring it. It's really hard for you to know what's working and what's not working if you're not measuring it. If it's important enough for you to do, it's important enough for you to measure. And so even people who are making a bunch of money, they don't quite know what's working and what's not working. And so they're always on like this feeble ground. They haven't truly built their house on a rock. They've built their house on sand. And that's not quite the way you want to run your business, right? So with the fortune framework, again, if you're not getting a lot of leads and you're not getting conversions, you got a D cubed problem. You need the desired direction and discipline to know what to do, how to do it, and then how to measure yourself. If you're not getting a lot of leads, but you are getting a lot of conversions, man, when you only get 5 leads a month, but when you get that lead, you're converting 30% of the time, 40% of the time, then you've got a sales and marketing problem. That's what you got. You got a sales and marketing problem. You need to understand your unique value proposition so that you can ultimately get more leads to come into your funnel. Because every time a lead comes in, you got a game plan to follow up with that lead and convert that lead into a 15-minute phone appointment to get that lead over to your lender if that's the market that you're in. That may not always be what you need to do if you're working in Pasadena, California, or upstate New York in the Hamptons, and a new lead comes in. You don't need to get them to your lender, right? These people have money. You can assume that they have money to buy. But if you're working in Birmingham, Alabama, where I'm from, Roll Tide, you're working in Birmingham, Alabama with a lot of first-time home buyers, your next step needs to be to get that person to your lender. And so you got a sales and marketing problem. What's your unique value proposition? What differentiates you from other agents in the market? What differentiates you? And why should people do business with you over and above everyone else, including doing nothing? Because you got to understand that most home buyers or sellers, it's not that they choose another agent over you, it's that they choose to do nothing over you. They say, I'm just going to kick the can down the road. I don't know what I'm going to do right now. I'm just gonna, maybe I'll pick this up again in 6 months. I'll think about buying again in 6 months. I'll think about making this decision again in 6 months, right? And so you need to understand the type of environment that you're working in. You're competing not just against the other agents down the street, not just against the fact that people are looking for every excuse not to take action, but you're also competing against the experience that other companies give them. Companies like Uber, companies like Amazon, with this next day shipping, like this on-demand instant gratification world that has made people lazier and lazier and lazier, where they have more and more reason not to take action. So if you make something harder for them to do, more difficult for them to do, and you're not meeting their expectations, a new lead comes in, they're just going to sit back and they're not going to make a decision. So you need to truly understand what your unique value proposition is and how to get leads into your funnel. You can work with Grant on that. I'm sure he talks a lot about that. Okay. Now, you're getting a bunch of leads to come in. Man, you're like the freaking rainmaker for your team. You're getting tons of leads to come in through Facebook, Zillow, wherever it is that you're using, but your conversions are crap. You're not converting anything. You don't know how to get those people over. You can't get on the phone with them. You're text messaging these people. They're not responding. You're calling them and they're not answering. You're emailing them. People are not opening your emails. You have no clue how to convert these leads. You got a PPS problem. A PPS problem, where you need the principles, the processes, and the systems. That's what you need. And you can't give your people systems without principles, or if you're just giving them chaos. So you go out, you buy all these tools and you're thinking, wow, these tools are going to help me convert more leads, and you're doing all this stuff. But ultimately, if you can't give your people systems without principles. You give them all these tools, but if you don't give them the principles on how to use these tools, the direction on how to use these tools, the strategy on how to use these tools, you've ultimately just implemented more chaos into your business. And so at Smart Alto, ultimately, remember that D cubed, our desire, right? The goal is for us to put 15-minute phone appointments on your calendar. The strategy, the principle, right? The direction, the strategy, the principle that we use to do that is the BANTAR Principle, which I'm about to talk about. The BANTAR Principle. The discipline, or how do we know if we're winning or losing, is what percentage of phone appointments are we putting on your calendar? Because this PPS, people, principles, and systems, you can't give your people systems without principles, or you're just giving them chaos. So you need to understand, do you go out and get the people, develop the principles, get the systems to implement yourself, or do you use OPM? Not other people's money. OPM, not other people's money. Do you use other people's manpower to implement this? Do you find someone to help you implement this? But that's what you need. If you're getting a bunch of leads, but you don't have conversions, then you got a PPS problem, people, principles, and systems. Now, if you are getting a bunch of leads, you're getting a bunch of leads, 100 leads every 2 weeks, 200 leads a month, and your conversions are high. You're converting folks into appointments 20%, 25% of the time, then now you need to test, iterate, and duplicate. You need to test, you need to see what's working, you need to iterate on it, and you need to duplicate, double down on the things that are working and pull back on the things that are not. Ultimately, your job at that point becomes to eliminate the fat, cut the fat, and build this well-oiled machine, right? So this is the fortune framework. So I want you to think about, and if you're in Facebook right now, I don't know if we're streaming or if it's just here, but think about this. Where are you in this framework? Where do you fall in this framework? Put your answers to where you fall in this framework in the chat or in Facebook, and Grant is monitoring that and he'll be able to kind of chime in and we can talk about your specific things, kind of where you are within the framework, right? That's really important. Now, this is the fortune framework again, D cubed, sales and marketing, PPS, test, iterate, duplicate. That's normally how people go, right? They kind of come into the business, they're thinking, oh man, I don't quite know what to do. And so they got a D cubed problem. That's the first step. And then they say, okay, well, crap, now I need to start getting leads. And so they start getting leads. And then that's the second step. And then they say, well, crap, I'm not converting any leads. So how do I convert these leads? And they say, okay, I got a PPS problem. So this is no judgment. Wherever you are, it's okay. But it's important to know where you are, because before we can help you get to where you're going, it's important to know where you are. If I'm in Washington, D.C., I'm trying to get to Manhattan. Well, I know I got to go northeast, right? But what if I'm in like Buffalo and I'm trying to get to Manhattan? If I go northeast, I'm going to end up in Canada somewhere. So you got to know where you are, and then we can develop the strategy for where you're going. Now, that's the fortune framework. I'm going to share with you now the BANTAR principle. And this is quite literally, you're going to hear me say this time and time again. If you follow me, you watch my YouTube videos, you've seen me speak before. I say this all the time. You can ignore my advice, but do not ignore my results. You can ignore my advice all that you want. You know, it's up to you. Don't ignore my results. What I'm going to share with you is the BANTAR principle. This is quite literally the same principle that I used when I was in ISA to convert leads. It's the same principle that we use at Smart Alto now to quite literally convert hundreds of appointments per day for our clients. It's the same principles that help folks, go from 0 to 250 homes sold per year. The case study that I'm going to share with you later that helped Rob West make $14,000 in 10 days, which is verified, right? I don't know if Rob is in this group. I know you mentioned Rob earlier when I made that comment, Grant. So I don't know if Rob is one of your buddies. He's in this group. He's a great person. So let's dive in and talk about the BANTAR principle, BANTAR. When you are qualifying leads, and we're talking about the BANTAR principle, BANTAR. You know what? I'm wondering, does anyone have an idea of what BANTAR stands for before we kind of dive into it at all? I would be really interested. Does anyone know what BANTAR stands for, even before I show it to you? If you do, put it in the chat. If you don't worry about it. I developed it, so crap, you may not know. All right, I'm gonna take that as a no, and I'm gonna go ahead and share with you what the BANTAR principle means, and quite literally how it's been a game changer for my life. And a lot of my clients' lives. BANTAR. The BANTAR principle. So again, think about what the goal is and where this fits. Think about what the funnel is and where this fits, right? New online lead comes in. How do you qualify that lead and ultimately set a 15-minute phone appointment on someone's calendar? The BANTAR principle is what we use to qualify leads. It's the process, the principle, the guiding principle, the North Star that we use to qualify leads. All of our ISAs use this, right? Even my sales team at Smart Alto, we use a variation of the BANTAR principle to qualify leads. What do I mean? What does BANTAR stand for? BANTAR. BANTAR. The B, what are we trying to figure out? When a new lead comes in, what do we want to know about that person? What's their budget? What's their budget? Is this a $150,000 buyer, or is it a $3 million luxury buyer, right? Where does this person fit? 150K, 3 million, 500K? Are they buying with all cash? Like, where does this person fit? What's their budget? BANTAR. The B stands for budget. We need to figure out what their budget is, and we have a very specific way on how to ask that question. Because let me tell you what the wrong way to ask that question is. The wrong way to ask that question is saying, "Hey, what's your budget?" That's the absolute wrong way to ask that question, because especially when you do that through text message, you're going to get a lot of people who are going to stop responding because it sounds too abrasive. That's my hypothesis. That's my assumption. It sounds too abrasive. It sounds too salesy. What's your budget? It's almost like you're telling that person, based upon your answer, is going to determine whether or not I decide to work with you or not. And so it comes across wrong. It comes across crude, and it's not using a lot of emotional intelligence. So you want to figure out what the person's budget is, but don't ask them what their budget is. It's a different way to ask that question. And if you want to know, I'll tell you what the way to ask that question is. The A stands for authority. Authority. The B stands for budget. The A stands for authority. It's the person I'm speaking with. Are they a decision maker in the process? Can this person actually make a decision on whether or not they buy or sell the house? Or is it mom and dad who's looking for their 23-year-old son? Or is it auntie, however you say it? I'm from the South, so I say auntie. Or is it auntie who is looking for her nephew who's looking to move to the area? You need to talk to people who are decision makers in the process, people who have the authority to make a decision. Even now, think about this, right? If you're talking to a grown person, an adult, and they could be looking to sell or even buy a house for their parents, that's definitely possible. They are a decision maker. If they're looking to sell their parents' home, their parents are downsizing, they are the decision maker in the process, right? So the authority figure may not always be the person with the money, right? Or who owns the home. The authority is the person who's making the decision about the transaction to buy or sell. That's the person you need to be speaking with. It does you no good. You're doing yourself no favors if you get on the phone and you talk to somebody who's not a decision maker. You're basically wasting your time. And you're telling me you don't want to make money. There's no nice way to say that, folks. I'm sorry. If you're talking to people who who can't make a decision, you're basically telling me you don't want to make money. Maybe there are some exceptions to that rule, but as a guiding principle, again, this is the BANTAR principle. As a guiding principle, you want to talk to people who have the budget and who have the authority to make a decision. The N stands for needs, wants, and expectations. Needs, wants, and expectations. Is the person looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, a 5-bedroom, 7-bath? Do they need a house with a yard and a fence and a great neighborhood because they have young kids? Like, what is it that they need? What are their needs, wants, and expectations when buying this house? Can you actually help them? Needs, wants, and expectations. That's using your emotional intelligence to really peel back the onion and get what it is they're looking for. The T stands for timeline. Timeline, 3 days, 3 months, 3 years. When are they looking to buy? It helps you prioritize that person in your mind. How should I be thinking about working with this person? This person is looking to buy in 3 days. They're like looking now, crap, let me go show them a house. They're looking to buy in 3 months. Okay, well, they need a 3 bedroom, 2 bath in like 150 to $300,000 price range. Now let me set them up on this list of homes where I can email them these list of homes that are that's customized to their specific needs, wants, and expectations. So it's actually relevant to them. So people actually do open my emails as opposed to just sending out crap that no one's going to open. So what's their timeline? 3 days, 3 months, 3 years. The A stands for area. A for area. Area. Is this an area that I actually know? Is it like in my backyard where I know I can help these people? Or is it like an hour and a half away and the person just happened to be driving through and saw a pretty house and clicked on the ad and they're like, oh yeah, I would love to buy a house here, but I'm not. I'm like, I live like an hour and a half that way. And now ultimately you're on the phone talking to that person, wasting your time because the area they want to buy in, you don't know about, you can't help. And so, yeah, maybe you could refer that person out, but these are guiding principles about how to qualify leads. The R stands for relationship. What's their relationship with the lender? What's their relationship with an agent? If they don't have a relationship with the lender, they haven't been pre-approved. If they already have a relationship with an agent, a signed buyer's agreement, then you can't help them anyway. Everyone knows an agent, but that doesn't mean that they're 100% committed to working with that person. And so what's the true relationship? If they have an agent, a signed buyer's agreement, and they're 100% committed, no reason for you to talk to them on the phone. You just save yourself time. But if they like, oh yeah, my friend from high school who I haven't spoken with in 3 years, I saw on Facebook they're an agent. Like that's not 100% committed, right? And then their relationship with the lender. If you're working in a market where it's a lot of first-time home buyers and you get a lot of first-time home buyers as leads, then your next step probably needs to be to get that person to a lender. This is where you know your area better than I know your area. So you determine what the next step should be, but it should probably be getting that person to your lender if you're working in an area where home prices are a little bit lower and it kind of induces a lot of first-time home buyers. Because you don't want to ultimately go pick somebody up, drive them around, showing them homes, but then they can't buy because they don't have these other boxes they haven't checked. They don't have the budget for it, or maybe they thought they had the budget, but they have bad credit, right? So the BANTAR principle is ultimately how we set hundreds of appointments for clients at Smart Alto. It's what I do. What I did when I was an inside sales agent. It's what you can do today. You can take this principle, and ultimately qualify leads. You want to do this automatically. Like, really, you don't want to be doing this. You want to be a real estate sales professional. You want someone else to be doing this, an ISA, like a real person doing this, or you want to outsource it to a company like Smart Alto, or you want to kind of do it through some other mechanism. You don't want to spend your time doing this, especially if you're getting a bunch of leads. But if you're brand new to the business, you may have to, because you may not have the budget to go hire an ISA, right? So if you are going to do it, this is the way that you do it. Using the BANTAR principle. It's going to save you tons of time. It's going to help you convert way more leads because people want to give you this information. You just got to know how to ask for it. And so we set, as I mentioned, hundreds of these appointments every single day for clients. This is one for, I just put in a couple of these. This is one for Lisa McKenzie, phone appointment, who I actually know Lisa pretty well. She is in the North Carolina area. She is a team lead. She's been in the business for like 15 years or so. You can see 15-minute meeting, 11:45 to 12 on this specific day and time, Eastern time, right? I'll call you at the scheduled time. Daniel LaPlante, who I do not know, 15-minute meeting. 11 a.m. to 11:15 Central Time, right? So now the 15-minute phone appointment is on Daniel's calendar. He can call at that time, and the person is looking, they're expecting that call. Sanjita Patel, she actually commented on this post, and she said, this is a 15-minute meeting. I don't think you can see this, so I'll read it to you. 15-minute meeting, 5:30 to 5:45. Thursday, January 23rd. And she said, this client will be listing her condo and then buying a home with me. Smiley face. That's what she commented on this in my Facebook group. That's what she put here. This client will be listing her condo and then buying a home with me. We see that all the time. This was get all these appointments. I could go on and on and on and on and on. They're all used setting these 15-minute phone appointments with the BANTAR principle. Okay, so how do you improve the show up rate? I'm going to talk to you about how do you improve the show up rate. Give me a second because I got to drink some water. Crap, I drank all my water. How do you improve the show up rate? One of the questions I get all the time is, hey, Hassan, how do I improve the show up rate? You know, I'm doing this myself. I'm kind of winging it. I'm brand new to the business. I'm not quite sure how they take that next step. You know, this person said they want to talk to me at 3 o'clock, but I call them at 3, they don't answer the phone. And so a couple of weeks ago, I posted in my Facebook group, I said, do you follow up with no-show appointments? And people said, almost everyone said yes. They said, yes, I follow up on no-show appointments. Obviously, if you're a sales professional, you need to follow up on no-show appointments, right? That's not what I was trying to get to though. Then I started commenting. And I said, tell me how you follow up on no-show appointments. And you know what people said? I follow up on no-show appointments. I send them an email the next day and say, hey, what happened to our call? Or they'll call like an hour later. Or all of this stuff that basically tells me you don't want to make any money. I heard so many different people tell me how they follow up on no-show appointments. And every answer that I received basically told me this person doesn't want to make any money. You're telling me you don't want to make any money because the way that you're following up on these no-show appointments is awful. It's awful. It's just no nice way to say that. It's awful. So I'm going to share with you, A, how to get people to show up, and then B, if they don't show up, what to do to get them to show up. Because you want to strike while the iron is hot. So this method that I'm about to share with you, these 2 little strategies that I'm going to share with you gets a 90% show up rate. So ignore my advice, but don't ignore my results. It's just not my opinion, right? Data over opinions. We can all have different opinions, but we can't have different facts. The facts are what I'm sharing with you gets a 90% show up rate. Now, this is Amber Hall, who, in full transparency, I do know Amber. She is a team lead in Utah. She runs a team lead in Utah. And so I posted, or somebody posted in the group, like of somebody setting an appointment. They were like, oh, hey, I just started today. I got my first appointment set. Great job, Smart Alto, yada, yada, yada. Joe Bryan, who I do not know, said, do you know the percentage of people that keep those appointments, Hassan? Well, I always say 90%. Well, guess what Amber said? Joe Bryan, I don't know the overall percentage, but in a week and a half, we've had success with 8 of 9 people keeping their appointment. Now, I'm no freaking math major. I went to some fancy schools, but I didn't major in math, right? I didn't major in math. But what is 8 of 9? Let's see. I've got my handy dandy phone right here. Let me put this in. If 8 of 9 people show up, 8 divided by 9 is what? Wow, that seems like 88%, 89%. That's basically 90%. Amber is saying, and this was, I don't know, a while ago, right? She's saying, look, man, look, 90% of people are showing up. Well, guess what Amber is doing? She's doing these two things that I'm about to share with you. Ignore my advice, but don't ignore my results. And can you believe, even with people in the group, in my Facebook group, posting that they get 90% show up rates, we still have people who don't do these two strategies. And then they say, hey, Hassan, I'm only getting a 75% show up rate. What's going on? And I ask them these two questions and they say, no, I haven't done it. And I say, why? And they give me some answer that basically means they don't want to make money. So any answer that you give me that's not sufficient is basically telling me you don't want to make money. And I don't have any sympathy for people who don't want to make money. Okay. So the first thing is to send them a freaking text message reminder. When we set appointments, we do it using Calendly. This is not only for Smart Alto setting appointments for our real estate agents, but also for anyone who comes to Smart Alto as a real estate agent, a team leader or broker, a mortgage professional, insurance professional, you name it. When they come to Smart Alto and they schedule an appointment, we use Calendly. It's a free service, but we pay for it because we think the paid options are great. When you pay for Calendly, you can allow people to put in their telephone number to get a freaking text message reminder. This one thing, sending them, because Calendly always sent an email reminder, but it did not always send a text message reminder. So about a year ago, they added this great new feature, text message reminders. So now people can put in their freaking telephone number and get a text message reminder of the appointment that they scheduled. Because we're not cold calling people. I don't do cold calls. It sucks. I used to do that with circle prospecting and all that crap. That sucks. It's a really hard life. I don't do that. With our inbound real estate leads, these people, they have scheduled appointments with us. They put in their telephone number. They get a text message reminder of the appointment time. This took the show up rate from 75% to 90% right here. This one little tip, this one little strategy. The reason agents don't do this, it blows my mind. The reason they don't do it is because Calendly is a free service, but to use this feature, it costs $8. And people don't want to pay the $8 a month, $8 a month. They don't want to pay it. So you're telling me you're going to spend money to generate a lead, to qualify a lead, but you're not going to spend money to make sure that person, to increase your show up rate to 90%, you're not going to spend a freaking $8 to make sure that person shows up. You're not going to spend money on the last mile to make sure that person shows up. So you're going to spend, how much does it cost for you to get a lead in your market? $5, $7, $10. So you're going to spend $10 per lead. You're going to spend whatever your lead conversion systems cost, your CRM, your engagement platform, you're paying for Whitley. You're going to spend money on all this stuff, but you're telling me you're not going to spend the $8 per month to get people to show up to the appointment, all this work to get them here. And now you're on the 1 yard line. And as opposed to handing the ball off to somebody who can score a touchdown, you're like throwing the ball and it gets intercepted. Makes no sense. Set the appointments using Calendly. Send the freaking text message reminder. Spend the $8, the best money you'll ever spend. My team, Smart Alto, we pay Calendly probably $100 a month, and it's the best money we can spend. All right. So that's the strategy number one. Strategy number two, let's say you call that person and they do not answer the phone. So you had an appointment set. Let's say who are you? You're Sanjita. No, let's make you Lisa. You're Lisa. You had an appointment set for some person at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You call that person At the time, they scheduled the appointment with you. They scheduled the appointment with you at 11:45. You call them and they do not answer the phone. The worst thing you can do is say, I'll follow with them later. Tough luck. It happens. It's the cost of doing business. I followed up with them. I called them. They didn't answer. Let me go lick my wounds. Oh my goodness, what should I do? No, that's the worst thing you could do. Worst thing you could do is send them an email later. Call them again. You just called them. They didn't answer the phone. Calling them 100 times ain't gonna get them to answer the phone. Here's what you do. You take a screenshot. This is like, let me be very clear, because some people have mistaken what I mean. I don't want there to be any mistake about what I mean. You literally go to the appointment on your calendar. You literally go to the appointment on your calendar and you open it up. You click it and you open it up. You take a screenshot of that calendar appointment and you send a text message to that lead and you say these words. Hey, hi, Renee. In this example, it's Renee. Hi, Renee. Are we still on for the 11 o'clock call you scheduled with me? ? And you put your name. Hassan, Gary, Chris, Jennifer, Jessica, right? You literally take a screenshot. This is a screenshot of the appointment because my team does this. You take a screenshot of the appointment and you text message it to them. Hi, Jennifer, are we still on for our 11 o'clock call you scheduled with my team today? ? And you put your name. People are going to respond. Yes, I'm coming. I'm sorry. The kids just came home from school. The kids just went off to school. I'm making kids lunch. Can I call you in 10 minutes? Whatever. Because people aren't just, even though you have an appointment set for them, they're not just sitting there twiddling their thumbs waiting on you to call. Life goes on. Things happen. Kids came home. Kids went to school. Husband came home. Wife came home. Whatever. Right? So you have to follow those two things. Now let's put this all together, because I know I've thrown a lot at you today, and we got about 10 minutes left, 12 minutes left. Now I want to have some time for Q&A if people have questions. I haven't seen any questions, but I also haven't been looking. So let's put it all together. I'm going to show a case study with Rob West. So Rob West, full transparency, I do know Rob. He's an 18-year career as an agent. He's been an agent. He's been a team leader. He's been a broker. He's a Mike Ferry student at one point. He was with KW at one point. Now he's with Caldwell. He's currently the team leader at the West Home team in Orlando, Florida. He generates Facebook leads. I think he may use Zillow, but I did not put that here. He also has used radio to get seller leads in the past down in Orlando, Florida. If you're in Orlando, maybe you have come across Rob West. Great guy. Been in the business for a long time. Look at it. He got like a little model picture here. Look like he's out on the water. So let me talk to you about this case study with Rob. Okay. So Rob gave us, let me start here. Rob gave us 2,200 old leads that have been sitting in his database for like up to 3 years. 3 years. They've been just sitting in his database. He hadn't emailed them. He hadn't called them. He hadn't done anything with them. They just kind of sitting there. He gave those leads to us and said, hey, Hassan, set appointments for me so I can make some money. We said, okay. So I introduced him to my buddy, Adam, who works at Smart Alto, and we took him through this process. So let's talk about the goal. The goal is to revive old leads. The strategy, think about that D cubed, right? D cubed, what's your goal? What's your direction? What's your metrics? You need the desire, direction, and discipline. The desire, your goal. Direction, your strategy. The discipline, your metrics. D cubed, right? So what's your goal to revive old leads? What's the strategy? Using text message marketing and BANTAR. What does this mean? We're not calling anyone. There were no phone calls made. No phone calls, no emails, all through text message. And we use the BANTAR principle to qualify these leads. What does BANTAR stand for? Budget, authority, need, timeline, area, relationship with agent, or relationship with with lender. If you ever see me online and you say, hey, Hassan, and you say, hey, I saw one of your presentations. You know what I'm going to ask you? What did you learn? I'm going to ask you, what does BANTAR stand for? And if you don't know what BANTAR stands for, then I'm going to think that you either didn't see the presentation like you said that you did, or you didn't pay attention, and both of them are bad, right? So you got to know what BANTAR stands for, because if you know what it stands for, then you can take that knowledge and use it as power, because knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power. Just having the knowledge of something doesn't help, but you have to apply it. The metrics. With older leads, we normally expect to see a 3 to 6% appointment setting rate. This is much higher with brand new leads. We expect to see 15, 20, 25% plus. But with older leads, 3 to 6% of appointments. And he wanted a positive ROI on this campaign. So again, only text messages, no phone calls, no emails. These are the results after only 7 days of a 30-day blitz. So this is not the results after 30 days. I don't even think 30 days is up yet, right? It's not the results after 30 days. It's the results after 7 days of a 30-day blitz. Rob gave us 2,200 leads that were 1 to 2 years old. I got that right, 1 to 2 years old. Of those 2,200 leads, after 7 days, 400 of them responded to a text message. That's 18%. 12 people set phone appointments. That's 3%. 3 to 6% is normal. 6 of them held a phone appointment. So 50% of them showed up. What does Rob not do? Rob does not do these 2 steps. He doesn't do those 2 steps. That's his choice. That's his choice. Even with that, 50% of people showed up. Of these 6 people, 1 buyer was under contract, $175,000 cash. That's $5K. That's $5,000. $175,000 cash buyer, 3%, that's $5K. 1 buyer was out looking. This person has ultimately since then is under contract. Let me put that. 1 buyer under contract. 1 buyer under contract. And that was at $300,000. So that's $9,000. I can do simple math, folks. Look at me, I can do math. And 1 buyer referral. I'm not going to put any dollar value next to this buyer referral. I don't know what happened to it. I'm not interested really right now what happened to it, because who knows what happens with buyer referrals. Sometimes it's like the Wild Wild West. So this is $14,000 right here in the first 7 days. So the first 7 days, I'm going to show you a message that Rob sent me about this. As a matter of fact, let me do that now. Let me take this and bring that up here. So you may not be able to read this, so I'm going to read this to you. Rob sent me this private message through Facebook Messenger. I have permission to show this. It was a private Facebook Messenger. I have permission to show this. Bro, your company has set 4 appointments on the first day they had my leads. Just hung up with the first of the 4, and it's a cash buyer looking to buy immediately. And we're heading out seeing homes this weekend. What? I'm impressed. But then again, I knew you ran a bad company, a bad operation. These are leads from 2 months back to as old as 3 years back and have just been sitting in my database. So what did I just share with you? I said that the leads were 1 to 2 years old. I need to update that, 1 to 3 years old. I also said that one buyer was under contract at 175K because he shared that with me, and another buyer is under contract at 300K, and that's 9K for him. Ultimately, $14,000. Okay, this is what Rob sent me. Proof in the pudding, right? Proof is in the pudding. And Grant, if you want me to, I can give you the exact text messages that we sent for Rob, and I'll give it to you, and you can do what you want to with it. You can give it to people who are interested in having it, but I'll send you the exact text messages we sent for him, literally, and you can give it to folks. It's like as an added benefit for being in your group, if that's cool.
Yeah,
with
that
you.
sounds
It's
good.
up to you. Cool. I get that to you. So if you want those, then let Grant know, because I'll hand that over to Grant. He can upload it as a file, give it to everybody. He can give it to people who only request it. So if you want that, just put in a comment section somewhere that you're interested in receiving that. It's quite literally the exact text messages that we sent for Rob. There's like no magic behind it. I'm not like holding anything back. The only magic is that we quite literally spent, have sent these text messages millions of times at this point. So we know kind of what works, what gets the best responses. That's the only magic to it, is that we've tried it and it's tested. So if you want that, then comment in the section and somewhere, and Grant will respond to you. And ultimately, I'll give it to Grant and he can do whatever he wants to with it. All right. So you can send those out. Okay. So this is one of the first, I don't know if this was the first phone appointment we set for him that day, but this is a phone appointment that was set the first day. At least I think it was. I think it was set the first day, right? 15-minute phone appointment. And then look what I saw today, February the 11th. This is still another phone appointment that we're setting for Rob from that same list of old leads, man. Come on, folks. 15-minute phone appointment at 4:45. That was crap. That was like an hour or so ago. Okay. So it's still working for Rob. That's my point. So the very first day, phone appointment today. Isn't today February the 11th, 2020? Yes, today is February the 11th, 2020. So you can ignore my advice, but don't ignore the results, right? It's one thing that I will do. One of my goals is to write for Fast Company and Inc. in 2020. And so I'm trying to improve my social proof. If you thought this presentation was valuable, the only thing I'll ask that you do is to literally like write me a review on my Google page using this link right here. I'll go into the Whitley group and I'll post it there. If you found anything valuable from this presentation today, then please just write me a really short review on this presentation specifically, and that will be great. It will help me a bunch as I kind of continue to put together. That's my goal, to write for Fast Company and Inc. My strategy is to write good content, but also have all this social proof. And then the metrics, how am I going to know if I'm winning or losing, is, ultimately, am I able to write, for my dream company? So that's it. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has. Anything you want to share, I'm here, or I can pop in a Facebook group after this to answer any questions that folks got.
Dude, epic training. I really, really appreciate you jumping on and doing that. That was a ton of incredible information. We have a lot of people that would love those text messages. So
okay, cool.
Definitely feel free to share those over, and we will get those shared out with anybody else. Guys, if you have questions for Hassan, please go ahead. Right now is a great time to ask those questions. One of the things that I've always struggled with, Hassan, is the show up rates too, because traditionally we have about a 40% no-show rate.
Yeah.
And we've generated over 17,000 appointments for our company. And
Yeah.
so 40% no-show rate's a substantial missed income opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I really appreciate some of your, we do implement text reminders,
Yeah.
but I never thought about sending somebody a screenshot of
For
their own
sure.
appointment. I've
Yeah.
definitely sent some choice words to people for missing their appointments, but
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
nevertheless. So Alec
Yeah.
and Sarah asking, Hassan, do you recommend text over phone calls completely, or do you initially call them? What is your opinion there?
No, so my very strong opinion on this is that the world has changed, the world has evolved, and your first goal is actually not to set the appointment with people. Your very first goal is just to start a conversation, to get people to respond to you.
Yeah.
And the best way to get people to respond to you, to start a conversation with them, is through text message, it's through chat, it's through like Facebook Messenger, right? Like it is in the method that people want to communicate. 98% of people send a text message at least once a day. There are tons of it's tons of data behind this. Again, this is like no longer my opinion, right? This is like facts. So we can have different opinions, but we can't have different facts. One of the things that I shared a couple of days ago, I don't know if I still have it here. I don't. But it started happening to me recently when people would call and it was a number that I didn't have saved in my phone. Verizon or Apple, somebody would start saying like possible spam. Have you seen that, Grant?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I just started receiving that. I don't know if it just kind of reached me, but like possible spam. So your very first job is to start a conversation with people. The easiest way, the lowest friction way to start a conversation with them is through text. Now, after you start the conversation with them, it's great. Real estate is still an on the phone and in-person game. You got to be great on the phone. You got to be great in person, especially when you're trying to get a listing appointment, right? But to start the conversation, send them a text. And the question that you want to ask, especially if it's a home buyer, the way to think about this is you don't want to ask a question that forces people to think. People don't want to think. If you think people want to think, you're thinking too much. People don't want to think. They just want to respond. And so if the question that you ask them is this big open-ended question that forces them to either that work too hard, to type too many buttons, to think too much, to think too long, like what would you love to see in your favorite dream home? Or what's your favorite dream home that you would love to buy? Or how may I help you? Any questions I can answer for you? They're going to say, screw you, man. They screw you. I'm not answering that. Or I'll answer it later. And what's the death to all sales? Time. Anytime someone says, oh, I'll get to that later, the death to you making a sale is time. That's what stops you from making money, time. So instead, what you need to ask is a question that Granny can answer on her cell phone with one click, right? Ask the question, how many bedrooms are you looking for? So, hi, my name is Alex. I'm the personal assistant for Grant at 123 Realty. I see that you clicked my Facebook ad about homes for sale in your area. I'm just wondering, how many bedrooms are you looking for? To answer that question, how many buttons do people have to press?
Just two.
Two. They can press the number and they can freaking press send. And do you know what happens when we start this conversation? People press the number and they press send. Most of the time, they're not giving us this, oh, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with, white cabinets and I want to put, no, they don't do that. They don't do that. They press the number and they press send. But you know what's just happened? Now we know this is the person's name. We know we got the freaking right person. We know it's their cell phone. We know they have their cell phone with them. We know it's a legitimate lead. And we have started the conversation. The hardest thing to do is to start the conversation. Once you start the conversation, you can then likely continue the conversation with someone. But when you walk up to my wife, her name is Ashley, she works for the FBI. When I met her down in Los Olas, Florida, on Los Olas Boulevard, I didn't walk up to her and say, "Hey, will you marry me today?" I just walked up to her and introduced myself. I started small because there's this concept of commitment and consistency. Our identity, our identity is built around being consistent. When you grow up, your parents, they tell you, be consistent, follow through, don't give up, don't quit. No one tells your kids, give up any chance that you get. Be a quitter. Quit that team. Don't follow through. Be inconsistent, right? So our identity is built around being consistent. So when I start something, there's this little obligation in me to continue it. So your first job is to get people to start something with you and then allow their psychology, their DNA to continue to commit to you, commitment and consistency. You want to use these psychological triggers to get people to start the ball rolling and get them to continue it. And the first thing that you have to do is start the conversation. So ask them a question they don't have to think about, because the thing that they're thinking about well before they get on the phone on the call with you or text message you is, man, what type of house are we looking for? We need 3 bedrooms, right, baby? 3? Yeah, we need 3. 2 bath? Okay, yeah, 3 bath. Number one thing people look for. That's the question you ask.
Love it, man. That's a great piece of advice. Do you recommend video text messages? Yes or no?
Oh, video text messages can work really well. They can work really well as a follow up. So this is, and if you would have asked me this, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, so they shouldn't be the initial text. They should be the follow up.
Yes. So this is something that, again, I learned this through data. This is why, man, like, you gotta start. The only way to learn is to have an assumption and then freaking test it. I get so tired of people sharing their opinions with no data. What data do you have behind this? And so this is anecdotal, but it's still data that we have collected on this. And you can go into my Facebook group and you can see people responding on this because we tested it. So if you would have asked me this 2 years ago, even 18 months ago, I would have told you video text messaging seems kind of weird, man. Like, don't do that. But then we tested it and the data proved me wrong. So what's happening is, this is the way Smart Alto clients are using it, which is, again, my little world and the data that we have. Lead comes through our ISA. His name is Alex. Alex sends a text message. Hi, my name is Alex. I'm the personal assistant for Grant at 123 Realty. I see that you clicked my Facebook app about homes for sale in your area. Do you need any, I'm gonna get this list to you. How many bedrooms are you looking for? Great. What the agent started doing, his name is Ray Jeffries. Ray Jeffries, Ashley Morello, a couple of agents started doing this and started catch fire in my group. They recorded a short, like 30-second video of them literally just pulled out the freaking iPhone. Some of them did it through BombBomb or Loom, but most of them, I think, Ashley did with her iPhone. And she said, hi, Jamie, this is Ashley. Ashley at 123 Realty. You should be getting a text message from my personal assistant, Alex, who's asking you a couple of questions about what type of home you're interested in, how many bedrooms do you need. I just wanted to send you a quick text message and really, introduce myself and ask you to answer those questions from Alex, because really what it's going to help us do is customize and curate a list of homes for you that's going to help us better understand your needs, wants, and expectations. So when we get on the phone, we can hit the ground running and start going to see homes pretty soon. Okay? Look forward to chatting with you soon. Bye now. Right. So Ashley would personalize every text message. Ray left out the name and did not personalize every text message, and he got like comparable results. So that, like, follow-up text, like connecting the text message conversation to yourself, has been working really well. That's the, like, case study that I have around that.
I've had similar results where I thought a video text message would work really good.
Mhm.
And then we started sending video text messages first, and like literally zero
Mm.
response,
Mm.
virtually no response.
Yeah.
But then we shifted it and we started sending a text first, just like you said, getting a one-word response, like
Yeah.
yes, no, maybe, I don't know, something like super simple. And
Yeah.
then we would follow it up with video text, and then we would extend the conversation. And we're kind of in this space right now where we're testing, like, should we cut the video out for like even longer to keep the conversation more simplistic until people, like you said, I love the point that you make, is if you can leverage somebody's psychology by getting them to start something, instinctively they want to finish it.
For
So
sure.
if you get somebody to start a conversation, they want to finish it with you. So if you can stretch the conversation out a little bit longer, you might get some better results. Alex got questions. Guys, we have time for one more question after this one, if you would like to ask. So do you recommend making videos less than 20 seconds? Should it be something that's less than 20 or 30 seconds?
So I don't have any data on this, simply, Alec, because we haven't tested like super long text message videos. Everyone that I've seen has been relatively short, 30 seconds or so. I'm much less concerned about length as I am about purpose. And so like your length should determine your purpose. If your purpose is simply to quickly, like, to introduce yourself and then get the person to respond to a text message, then, why does that need to be 3 minutes? You know what I mean? Like, so think about your, and this is just in business and in life, think about your goal first, then what your strategy is, and then just measure your results. So you can test different strategies. Even how Grant said, they started off doing this, but now they're doing this. Well, it's because what he tried the first time may not have worked, or it worked, but he's in the test, iterate, and duplicate phase. So he's trying to figure out what works better. So that's how you get to your answer. Because I could say, yeah, create it, definitely make sure it's less than 20 seconds. But if I haven't tested that and you make one that's 30 seconds and it works just as well, then why not 30?
Yeah, you got to go out there and get a lot of data. And I think that, guys, if you take me, for example, what I did to create a lot of the training that we provide back to you is we first went out and we got a lot of data on ads to run, targeting to use, budget strategy, retargeting, videos, types of videos, every single thing that we teach. We went out and tested it first, which required time, money, and energy. It's a lot of the reasons, people come to us is because we do all that stuff and you don't have to.
Sure.
So, but when you're in the conversion process, one of the things that I've always told people about sales is it takes a lot of at-bats. And when you get plenty of at-bats, you get plenty of opportunities, you can test certain things, make certain adjustments, and you can't really lose. Like if you test it this way and it doesn't work, and you test it a different way and it does, that's great. Like you didn't really lose. You've just figured out what was going to work for you. And then now you know exactly what to do every single time. You create systems around that, the way that Hassan's teaching you to. So it's definitely, dude, it's just a ton of great advice. I really appreciate it. Is there a way that you could post the link that you shared on Google in this chat bar really fast so that people can leave this training right now and they can go leave you a review on that Google page? Guys, Hassan gave us an hour and 15 minutes of his time to really dive in here and help us understand how to turn leads into appointments. And I think he did a fantastic job. So Hassan, thank you first and foremost for doing this, brother. I appreciate it. I want you guys, all of you right now, please go to this link that he's posted in the chat section. And if you're watching this after the fact, we'll make sure that the link is attached to this. Please go to this link right here, leave him a review so that we can help him accomplish his goals in 2020. I definitely would appreciate you guys doing that. He dedicated his time. He didn't get paid for his time, and he's not making any money doing this. He just wanted to come in here and add value to you guys. So please make sure you take that link right now and go do that. Hassan, man, I thank you so much, brother. It was a great training. Really, really valuable stuff. I know that we got a bunch of action takers in here going to take what you said and go immediately implement it. So I appreciate that, guys. Let Hassan feel the love. Tag him in a post in the Facebook group if you get a chance, and just share what your number one takeaway from this training was.
Good.
Let everybody in the Facebook group realize that they missed out. I appreciate you guys, and I thank you so much for being here. Hassan, thank you again, brother. I appreciate it. We
Right.
will
Thank you, man.
see you all later. All right, guys.
Peace.